All right, number 3, we want to multiply and simplify this expression. Okay, so we're going to start out with 2 cosine x plus 2 secant x times cosine squared x plus secant squared x minus 1. So first, what I'm going to do is go ahead and distribute. So I'm going to do the 2 cosine x, I'm going to multiply it times each term. And then I'm going to do the same thing for 2 secant x, multiply it times each term. And I'm going to get a new expression with 6 terms. So 2 cosine times cosine squared will give us 2 cosine cubed. So 2 cosine cubed x. So that's the first term. 2 cosine x times secant squared x will give me 2 cosine secant squared x. So plus 2 cosine cosine x secant squared x. All right, and then 2 cosine x times -1 will give us a minus 2 cosine x. All right, so I've distributed this one. Now I'm going to run out of room, so I'm going to drop down to the next line and do the secant. So 2 secant x times cosine squared x will give us plus 2 secant x cosine squared x. And then 2 secant x times secant squared x will give us 2 secant cubed x. And then 2 secant x times -1 will give us a minus 2 secant x. All right, now we want to note that secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Secant x is equal to 1 divided by cosine. So I'm going to rewrite each of the secants in terms of cosine and then simplify a little bit more. All right, so the first expression, 2 cosine cubed x plus, now this is cosine, and then we're going to have 2 cosines on the bottom like this. One of them is going to divide out. So this whole expression simplifies to 2 cosine x. Okay, so it's like cosine over cosine squared. One of them goes away. This is what we end up with. Or we can just say secant, 2 secant, which I'll probably go back and do that. And then minus 2 cosine x. So that's that one. 1, 2, 3. Now this one, again, 1 over cosine will be a cosine on the bottom. Get rid of one of these. So we have a plus 2 cosine of x when we simplify this term. So that's getting rid of 1 because it's going to go to the bottom. This is still plus 2 secant cubed x. And then this one out back minus 2 secant x. All right, so if I convert this back, so you think about it as 2 as 1 over cosine, so this is the same thing as 2 positive 2 SEC x, secant x. All right, so once you have all this set up, you can kind of see some things are going to cancel. We have a positive 2 secant x and a negative. They're going to go to 0, these two. We have a negative 2 cosine and a positive 2 cosine. Those two are also going to go to 0. And the only thing we're left with is 2 cosine cubed x and 2 secant cubed x. So that will be our final answer. 2 cosine cubed x plus 2 secant cubed x. So there's a lot of converting back and forth that we had to do. Dividing out a sine or cosine and then taking it back to secant because the cosine on the bottom. So this will be our simplified form. 2 cosine raised to the third x plus 2 secant, SEC, raised to the third x. Did I hit enter? Did I delete it? 2 COS. This is a third x plus 2 SEC raised to the third x. Maybe I hit delete.